Hello, everyone. Welcome to Heal Profoundly and Enduringly. Let us know if you are here and you can see us. Why am I not seeing us?
I'll check too. Because it does say, it does say
we're live.
Oh, I think we're live. I see it.
Oh, we're there?
Yeah, we're here.
Beautiful. Hello, everyone. Thank you for your patience. We were having some technological difficulties this morning, but we are very, very happy to be here with you for Heal Profoundly and Enduringly. This is a weekly show. I come on every Monday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time, not 12:36 like we are today. And I'm here with Kara Melendy today, and I can't wait to introduce her because if you guys know me, know her, you know that we have been collaborating for a while now, and it's just such beautiful magic when we get together. And I'm happy to bring her here today because Heal is really all about bringing forward those new outside of the box ways to be able to heal at our deepest level possible. And I love bringing people on who can give us tangible tools and takeaways that you can implement right away. And that's the idea, is to give you a toolbox to be able to feel empowered and to take care of this right away for yourself. So let me introduce Kara and then we can get started. Kara's a Master Astrologer, Akashic Records Practitioner, EFT, aka tapping practitioner, and has a master's degree in psychology. She loves to combine spirituality and energy work with practical strategies to help big-hearted, soul-driven women to create six-figure businesses. She's on a mission to raise the vibration of the planet by supporting lightworkers and healers and cultivating wealth as they share their sacred gifts with the world. So welcome, Kara. Thank you so much for being here.
So good to be here, Laura. Thank you for having me. And like you said, it's always an honor to connect with you. And I know there's always such powerful information that just flows through in our discussions.
Yeah, absolutely. And today we're going to be talking about deepening your connection with cosmic intelligence. And I'm especially happy that we have you here today with the full moon this week, the first of our eclipses for this eclipse season. So I know that we'll be able to chat about that for a couple minutes as well, which I think will be helpful for people to know how to navigate these energies as they come up this week. But let's just start really quickly by you sharing the one thing that you feel is the most vital to assist people with healing the most profoundly and enduringly, meaning long lasting, to those of you who don't know what that word means. What was your answer to that one, my friend?
Oh, yes. So the things that immediately popped in when you asked that question was love and acceptance. And, you know, I'm sure people have shared that before, but I feel like at the heart, it's like it really is this deep love and acceptance of where we are. And I think when we're on our journey and maybe we're struggling, whether it's physically, emotionally, or obstacles that are coming up, there can be a resistance to accepting where we currently are. And that resistance causes even more tension, stress, and overwhelm. So if there can be this acceptance of, okay, maybe there's something here for me, maybe there's a lesson, maybe there's a blessing, and the acceptance doesn't mean I'm going to be here forever. It means in this moment, I am here and I can get from where I am to where I desire to be. And I feel that energy of love is just at the core of healing in so many areas of our life. Love of self, love of others is just, it's magical, right? And I think this is something I felt more and more into lately as well, is seeing love as not just an abstract concept, but a very tangible practice as well. Like if we love ourselves, how do we show that? What practices are we going to engage in today that show, okay, I love myself? And the same in relationships. If we love someone else, to kind of take it from like this abstract idea and ground it tangibly, how do I show up when I'm in that energy of love? So I feel those are the key pieces, love and acceptance. And then of course we can deepen that through working with cosmic intelligence, through understanding our astrology, through going into the Akashic Records. But that's one of the core things in the records as well, is unconditional love and non-judgment. So I feel that is such a core piece, even through accessing the records, how we channel healing from that space is being in that energy of acceptance and of love and non-judgment of where we currently are.
Yeah, I love that so much because that's actually one of the things I was going to bring up. I'm glad you talked about it. This concept of like this abstract understanding of love and this tangible experience of it, because they're enormously different.
Yeah.
And one is definitely more in our minds. Like we want to take love out of the mind, right? We want to bring love into the body. We want to bring love into the field so that we can palpably feel it. And there's a huge difference there. And that's what I would say is the big difference between human love and the love of divine intelligence. Because, you know, I've always had a lot of love in my life. I have very loving relationships and connections. But until I got into the records, I feel it palpably at the level, like cellularly, that I feel now. And yes, you can access that through Reiki as well and through other energetic modalities. It's not just through the records.
For sure.
But it's that tangible feeling that makes it so much more internalized into our day-to-day experience.
It really is an energy and a frequency on its own. And I do feel it's like when we're in that energy of love, we do have healthy boundaries and we do prioritize ourselves, right? Sometimes people worry like, oh, okay, well, if I'm just loving, what about my boundaries? Will I be able to say no? Will I be able to honor what I need? And it's like, well, of course, if you're in that energy of love, you'll know what you need to replenish your energy, right? And when we're caring for ourselves, we're replenishing our energy, we're taking time to do those things that we love, we really do show up more deeply in our relationships, and we give other people the permission to do that as well. And I think it's such a core thing we need to learn, and I'm sure a lot of people drawn to your show, Heal, they're probably caregivers, right? They're caregivers and they're healers, and naturally it's like we want to give to others, right? And that's a beautiful thing, and it's even more beautiful when we're able to give to others, to our clients, to the world, from that energy of overflow and truly being grounded in the energy of love. So we are not doing those things for others out of obligation or a fear of judgment or resentment. We're doing that because we genuinely desire to. And there's so much power in that as well.
I love this so much because literally I just sent out an email this morning and it was talking about, you know, that yes, I am infused with holy energy and divine desire. That was the mantra that came through the Akashic Records. Yeah, and then that's also so synchronous with the journal prompt. We've been doing a free journaling challenge in Room for Healing, and what the prompt that I put up this morning was about: how can I find that harmony with giving and receiving? How can I really allow myself to really feel into my worth by receiving, because we need to do that before we give.
Yeah.
So we can give from the overflow, like you said.
Absolutely, yeah. And I find often that burnout comes when we're giving and we're not filling up, whether that's in our business, in our relationships, in any area of our life. I find it sets in when we feel like we're giving more than we are allowing ourselves to receive. And sometimes there's people there who want to support us. We can take the time for ourselves, but we have guilt around allowing that in. So that's why I really say, like, allowing yourself to receive, because the support and love you need is there. It's allowing it into your experience. And even a little breath practice I've been doing lately with the heart space to open up the heart space, because I see the back of the heart space as being like that energy of receiving, whereas the front is where we give. So just envisioning, like, breathing in the energy of love and feeling that flowing in through the back of the heart space, and then exhaling it through the front, and then breathing in that energy of love through the front, exhaling through the back of the heart space, to really make it an embodied practice as well. Just going back to what you were saying initially, it's like, it's one thing to keep it in our head, or is this abstract concept that's out there, but another thing to begin to feel it, right? What does it feel like when I allow that love into my life? And maybe at first it doesn't feel like love, but it feels like compassion. It feels like a sense of calmness and peace. Like, that's a beautiful energy to welcome into.
Yeah, I really like that, because it's so true. We tune into that, we receive it, and we might think, well, this isn't as mind-blowing. I remember when I first entered the records, and you and Emily and so many other people had said, oh yeah, it changed my life. And I was like, how did this change their life? You know? When I first went in, and it builds on itself. And the same thing happens with that frequency of love, you know, and it just gets more and more expansive. And I can't even tell you. I mean, I know you've experienced this too. It's like you turn your head and you're like, oh my gosh, how am I experiencing this level of love and immersion? And it just keeps getting bigger, and it gets to surprising us in that way. So yeah, I love that you were able to say, like, take a little bit, see how it feels. Even if it just feels calm, stick with it, and it's going to keep building on itself.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And it's so true when we first enter the Akashic Records, right? We can have all these expectations and it's like, what is this?
Yeah.
But it's a very subtle energy. And I think that's part of the process too, is how we become attuned to receiving these subtle energies, how we learn to transcend the ego and the fear mind, which is what creates those expectations to begin with and says, oh, it's supposed to look a certain way. You're supposed to receive this, right? And we know if we're feeling that or we're feeling judgment that we are in the ego and fear mind. Right. And so I love even the practice that Emily shared that I keep with today, like sinking that ball of consciousness from the head into the heart. And allowing yourself to explore the records from the heart space. And I feel that's any healing modality. It's like we really want to approach it from the heart space.
Yeah, absolutely. So how would you say, since we're talking about connecting with cosmic intelligence today, how would you say connecting with, well, deepening really our connection with cosmic intelligence? Because a lot of people here do have that experience already, that connection. So how deepening that really starts our healing journey. And that's what I found as well, is that, you know, there's being connected to cosmic intelligence and doing my healing practices on a daily basis and consistently realizing where I can go even deeper. Like there's always room to go deeper. So could you talk on that for a minute?
Absolutely. Yeah. And when I see cosmic intelligence, it's the laws of the universe. I feel it's understanding the language of the universe, the planetary shifts. So in addition to the Akashic Records, I also work with astrology. And those are the two main tools that I like to use in order to deepen that connection to cosmic intelligence. And I find astrology is a beautiful way to make it very tangible as well. I love how the records offer so much healing and clarity and guidance. And then astrology comes in and it's like we can really pinpoint what's going on, even through our birth chart, which is our divine soul blueprint. So when we incarnate into this physical body, we choose to take on certain energy, and we can experience that in the Akashic Records, and we can also see it in our astrology. So we see like our innate gifts, our innate talents, our soul path, and our purpose. And as you know, Laura, right, it's like everything to do with our life journey. And then we can even look at what's currently happening in the cosmos and how that's influencing our birth chart to get deeper insight into the lessons we're being initiated into. So there's just like so many beautiful layers in order to be able to explore that, right? So for me, astrology has been one way to really lean in and deepen that more through understanding my birth chart. If people don't really know their birth chart or what I'm talking about with that, another way is just to follow the new and full moon cycles, or like we're coming up on eclipse season, right? Like you can go deeper if you know your birth chart, but if not, just paying attention to how you feel in the new moon energies. It's a beautiful time to set your intentions. It's a reminder to go within, to connect to your heart, to really trust the guidance you're receiving. And the full moon is that beautiful energy for releasing. So releasing old programs, old belief systems, as well as celebration. So really celebrating what's working. So that's another way we can really deepen that connection through studying the planetary shifts. And in the Akashic Records, I mean, I think it's simply opening the records and just taking time to be in that space, to connect to your higher self, to connect to your spirit team. Or through any meditation, really. I mean, I love to incorporate Akashic Records as part of my meditative practice, to open the records and then meditate in that space. But you can simply do that through focusing on your breath as well. Like anything that really helps you connect to who you are. I think beyond like the busy mind, I call it the ego, and I don't even mean to put down the ego. I think the ego can be our human persona, which is beautiful, but it can also hold a lot of limiting beliefs as well, right? So anytime we're in meditation and we're able to transcend that programming, we tap into pure potential and possibility when we're not limited by the old belief structures.
Yeah, I love that.
Anyways.
It's so funny too, because, you know, I know that, I mean, obviously I've learned a lot from you when it comes to astrology, thank goodness. I'm so grateful for your Explore Your Divine Blueprint class, because it like tells you everything that you need to know. It's amazing. But it's funny because I was looking on Instagram yesterday, and yes, I was scrolling, and they were talking about the Scorpio Taurus axis right now. And they're like, oh, what do you have on the Scorpio Taurus axis? And I was like, oh my gosh, I have Chiron, Mars, Venus, and Uranus.
Oh.
I was like, no wonder I'm feeling so many energies right now, but in a good way. Like, it's very empowering.
Yes.
It feels very balanced to me right now. And I was like, well, yeah, I got my Mars, my Venus, I've got, but
yeah.
It's like, these are things that I normally wouldn't think of, and so it allows us to expand. It allows us to expand our consciousness, expand our awareness of ourselves and how we're interacting with the world in a way that we wouldn't naturally think of necessarily if we're not educated in it. So I really appreciate being able to read those symbols and understand what I'm looking at some of the time. Other than that, I just call you and I'm like, Kara, I stop.
Yeah, well, and that's what I love about astrology too. Like, it's quite complex. Like, you can always dive deeper, but at the same time, I mean, yeah, you can learn to understand the basics of your birth chart as well and see, oh, this is the sign for Taurus. This is the sign for Scorpio. These are the house placements that they're in, and begin to go a little bit deeper, right? Or like you said, you may have planets in those signs. And yeah, at this particular time, that axis is so crucial for a couple of reasons. We are in Scorpio season, so that's where we have the sun right now. We have Mercury there, we have Mars, so there's a lot of activity there. And the full moon is going to happen in the sign of Taurus, the opposite sign of Scorpio. So it's really being lit up. And also in January, nearing the end of January, I believe it's the 19th, we have the nodal axes shifting into Taurus and Scorpio. And in astrology, the north and south node is like our destiny, our karma. The north node is our North Star, where we are being called to go this lifetime. The south node is our past, our karma, our gifts and strengths we bring in to support us. And collectively with this nodal shift, it's always huge because the collective awareness and attention is going to a new area. So with Taurus and Scorpio, we're going to see some deep transformations happening, and definitely around money and wealth as well, and how it's distributed in the world, because they are the money signs of the zodiac. So that's going to be a big piece of it as well as coming back to our core values. Taurus really embodies that, like just coming back to what we really care about, what we really value, and collectively we're going to be looking at that as well. So yeah, definitely it's a highlighted axis right now in astrology. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's very exciting. And speaking of this eclipse that's coming up, how would you recommend that people work with the eclipse energy to really help them create transformation, like soul level transformation during this powerful time?
Yeah, well, eclipses are incredible for just like energetic resets. So they tend to naturally just clear away things that no longer serve us. And this could be work projects, this could be relationships, anything in our life. So we really have to trust that anything that feels like that chapter is closed or it didn't go through at the time of an eclipse wasn't meant to happen. And at the same time, it's of course bringing in new energy. Every time we're releasing the old, something new is coming in as well. So really getting clear around what you desire to release and what you desire to call in right now. But this is happening on like a very deep level. It's almost hard to find the words to like capture. It's like going really deep and looking at, okay, like what do I really care about? What do I value? And being honest about whether our life reflects that. And that can be overwhelming to even hear that, but just looking day to day, like how am I spending my time? And am I just in this cycle, in this loop, because I did this yesterday or because I did this a year ago, I'm going to do it again? Or does it actually light me up and feel aligned? So this full moon in Taurus, which is also a partial eclipse, is really going to bring awareness to that. It's also going to illuminate some of the subconscious patterns and programming, because we have the moon in Taurus, we have the sun in Scorpio. Scorpio is very much about what's going on under the surface. And it's also about bringing us back to our intuition and our instinctual nature. Both Taurus and Scorpio, they really embody that, like coming back to your instincts. And I see it being related to the sacral chakra. Both of those zodiac signs I see connected to that energy center. And it really is like, I see that energy center being about, I mean, it's the feminine energy, but it's also about like intuition and our core instincts as well. So we're really being grounded back in that right now.
I love that so much. And it's so funny because, so, my Chiron is in Taurus. Yes. And we were talking about that, I don't know, was last week when we met? I can't even remember. We were talking about that. And it's interesting because I do find that anything that's been coming up for me recently, that's old energy or that's past energy, I'm finding space for it. Like I'm grounding it, right? Like I'm finding like a masculine holding container for it, whether it's in my schedule, whether it's in, you know, my thinking or my journal or something, you know, I'm finding a container for it. And it just feels so stabilizing. And I'm really loving it because I'm finding that the more that I'm able to do that and really implement it and really follow through with it, honestly, with implementing that structure, because I'm so feminine in my energy that I'm often just like, no, I don't want anything to restrict me. I just want to flow. But I'm finding this beautiful balance between being able to rest in that. And I'm finding that when I do that, I can open up so much more. You know? And so I'm loving this mix of energy right now, like being able to explore that hidden stuff, but feeling super safe and grounded at the same time, which is not always the case, you know, when we do shadow work and when we have anxieties or things come up that we need to work through, we feel a little rocked sometimes. And I love this harmony right now.
Beautiful. Yeah. Well, there is a stability with the Taurian energy for sure. Like it's very grounded. It's very stable. And just some of the other aspects, like you spoke about it beautifully, what we're going to see in the full moon. The masculine and the feminine in astrology, Venus really is one of the embodiments of the feminine energy, whereas Mars is one of the embodiments of the masculine, and they're flowing in harmony at this full moon eclipse as well. So it is that time to balance out the masculine and the feminine. And similar to you, I love being in my feminine energy. That is more my natural for sure. But the masculine, it does hold that. And I see what you mean. I've been craving that more lately and even implementing that in my business and different areas of my life. And this full moon energy is going to help us with that. It's like the masculine structure allows the feminine to play, right? Because the feminine also really desires safety, and the Taurus energy embodies that too. Anyone with a lot of Taurus energy in their chart, safety and security is so, so important to them. And I feel like the feminine can't really play and explore and be intuitive and creative if it doesn't feel safe. And the masculine can provide that container of safety. So we're definitely feeling that with this full moon and feeling the buildup, right? Like it's clearly we can feel the energy. Like sometimes people ask, what if I missed my ritual, or can I still do this a couple days before or after? And absolutely, right? It's like if you're studying the charts, you need the exact time and everything to really capture the energy in that moment. But we are going to be feeling it leading up to the eclipse, days after, and especially what's activated at the time of the full moon eclipse. We see that for 6 months after still playing out, right? So that's where it is a really powerful time to say, okay, I'm going to go within, I'm going to set my intentions, don't put stress around it. Like be really loving and gentle, simply be intentional and allow yourself to take that time and space.
I love that so much. And it's so funny because I was just reading an article this morning. It was a scientific article about this moon, but they were talking about how this particular partial lunar eclipse, it's going to illuminate the moon 97.4%. And that it's going to be the longest duration of an eclipse that we're having for this entire century.
Ooh, that's powerful.
And I was like, that's freaking cool. Like, I was just like reading this morning. I was just reading up on the eclipse and like information about it. And I was like, oh, that's fascinating. Like it's going to last for the longest period of time out of any eclipse for this century. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. So even that window for the eclipse is going to have more staying power, more of that holding power, which I love so much, because that's one of the things that I've been working on lately too, is just like holding more, like expanding my capacity to hold more energy, right? And so whatever we're talking about, whether we're talking about love or money or health, you know, being able to hold more of that is such a beautiful exercise for us to open ourselves to. And so when I read that, I was like, oh, that just feels so good and like so aligned with kind of where my intentions are for this moon cycle. So
absolutely. I love that. Yeah, it just feels very spacious, right?
Yes.
That we have time to feel in and capture that energy for sure. Yeah, really.
Yeah, Tasha asked a question too. She asked, what should be done to tap these energies?
To really tap into them? Or?
Yeah, to really tap into them. And we had recommended meditation and journaling and dancing. And she said that dancing had been really calling to her.
Ooh,
Is there anything else that comes up for you that you can?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Dancing's incredible because it really moves the energy, right? It's like anything we can do that's embodied. That's why I love EFT. I find EFT is really good because it brings the mind and the body together. So I love EFT practices, definitely journaling, meditation, really like anything that allows you to go within. You may want to pull some oracle cards for guidance as well, but anything that feels really fun and expansive and allows you to connect. Like I kind of cycle through different processes in my new and full moon rituals. Sometimes I'll like open the records, I'll pull cards, like I'll do all of it. Other times it's like I'm just gonna sit for a few moments and feel these energies, right? Just feel into them. And then I like to do crystal grids as well. And I know there's a little bit of debate about whether you should put crystals out in eclipses. So I just say do what feels good for you. I always put a positive intention around it. So I never feel like something negative is going to come from putting my crystals out, but there's debate around that. But either way, creating crystal grids is a beautiful practice to like lock in your intentions as well. So that's something else I like to do. And I'm just very intuitive. Like I'll just take my crystals and arrange them in whatever way feels really good for me.
That's what I do too. And again, like when we're talking about masculine holding container, that's what I feel like a grid is.
Yeah.
You know, like you're creating a grid and it's like got this space, this holding container for you to put your intentions or your energy or your wishes in, right? And it's holding it for you. It's got a space for it. You're creating time and space and patience by, you know, when we sit there and we deliberately place intentional stones in a certain you know, pattern for ourselves or for the grid, then, you know, we're offering ourselves space. We're taking time. We're taking a breath and we're being really intentional. And that's something that's been coming up a lot lately is this idea of opening up time, space, and patience for ourselves. And especially patience when we're coming up on a full moon and eclipse season, right? It's like the emotions can show up. They can, you know, it's illuminating those parts of us, like you said, that no longer serve us. And we want to be patient and gentle with ourselves as we roll through this season.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a high energy full moon is what I'm feeling. There's a lot of aspects, which just means in astrology, like the planets, there's a lot of communication between the planets that's really amping up energy and emotion. So that's where I do feel dancing is really good, right? And everybody's a little bit different. Like some people feel like they really have to burn off that energy, right? And they could be going for a walk, connecting to nature can burn off that energy. Other people feel like they just need to sit in quiet and allow the emotions to flow through. So that's where it really comes to knowing yourself as well. And I guess the main thing is don't feel overwhelmed by what's coming up and allow it to move through you. Emotions are meant to flow. They really are. And we do have fixed energy here. So Taurus and Scorpio are fixed signs. So they're really good for being persistent toward our goals that really determine energy. But it can also sometimes keep us stuck, right? Fixed energy can be stubborn in the past. So that's where we want to look at, okay, where am I feeling this old pattern emerging or this emotion? And it really is just a pattern from the past. And I don't have to play into it. I can allow it to flow through me. And that's where journaling can be good too. Just saying, okay, I have this pattern. I'm noticing this belief. I'm noticing this energy emerging. I forgive myself for any judgment. And I know that I can now choose again. That can be a practice as well.
I really like, I've been called to move my body so much. Just the past few days, I've just started to already feel like I can just, I start to get settled, you know, into a practice. And I engage in the practice, but I really get this desire to allow my body to guide me and to allow my body to lead me. And it's really beautiful to, again, give ourselves that space to be able to do whatever we're called to. And yes, the emotions are meant to flow through us. And one thing that I will suggest to people, particularly during these energies, is don't try to do everything in your own head. Don't try to get stuck in your mind. Like even if you say, oh, it's fine. Like I'm just going to take the journal prompt and I'm going to meditate on it. I'm going to think about it. Like Kara said, let it flow from you so that you have a space for it. Again, a holding container being your journal, right? And it doesn't have to be that. It can be moving your body as well, but don't just stay in your mind and try to figure things out because you'll very easily get trapped in that with these fixed energies that Kara was talking about, right? Yeah. And it's funny because that's what I err on the side of. Like, I err on the side of being like, oh, okay, I'm just going to figure this out. And then my mind starts to go, I'm like, okay, Laura Mazzata, like, get out your pen and let it flow, you know, because it's different. You're experiencing it differently. You're engaging with it as if it's separate from you too, which I think is such a gift.
Such a gift. I love that. And I can do that too. And I know I'll go in circles in my mind. And that's where I do find it super helpful, whether we're working with a therapist or a coach, sometimes just being held in a container where we can actually talk through what's circling in our mind. It's like we get new insights and we get new downloads, just hearing ourselves say it out loud, right? And being witnessed in that. So absolutely, I feel journaling is great for that too. Just allowing it to flow, stop trying to figure it out all in your mind.
Right.
Take into the heart. Not that we don't honor the mind and logic, but when we try to figure too much out in our mind, we really can get frustrated and feel stuck. So anything that allows that energy to move and flow is going to serve us, and it's going to release a lot of stress and bring in a lot of clarity as well. Yeah.
And I love taking the information that we've placed in our journal and on the full moon, speaking them out loud to the universe. Speaking them out loud as mantras, whatever comes up that's powerful or resonates most strongly with you can be another way to just kind of engage with the universe and continue to cultivate that relationship of surrendering and handing the universe and receiving tangible feedback from our guides, from our higher self, whatever we happen to be connected to at the time.
Beautiful. You were breaking up there a little bit, Laura, but I think it's back now.
It looks like we had a little glitchiness, but this is a great time for you to share where people can find you and how they can connect with you, especially right now with these energies. They need support moving through it. So can you just let us know what the best way is for people to touch base?
Absolutely. Well, I have a YouTube channel, and my intention is to really build that up. I actually just started doing weekly cosmic guidance on there, and I'm going to be doing a full moon video either later today or tomorrow. But it's going to be up for the full moon, so definitely check that out. And that's just under my name, Kara Melendy. And I'm also hosting a full moon ceremony. So if you're wanting guidance and connecting more deeply to this energy, feel free to reach out. I can send you the link for that. And it also includes bonus access to my inner circle for a month. And in there's so much beautiful guidance on connecting to your records. And this month, we're actually looking at connecting to your soul blueprint. So you'll learn more about reading your chart as well. So if you're interested in that, it's a beautiful time to jump in. And there's also a VIP option too, where you can get a private session with me as well. And all of that's just laid out on the sign up page. So feel free to reach out. Otherwise, I can just connect on Instagram, Facebook, all under my name, Kara Melendy.
Beautiful. And my team's dropping links for all of that so people can access that. I highly recommend you guys jump in with Kara. You're going to learn so much about yourself, and she teaches and engages with you in such a loving and supportive way and really meets you where you are. So definitely check that out and touch base with Kara. And thank you so much for being here with us today.
Oh, thank you, Laura. This was really fun. As I knew it would be. I always love connecting with you. So
I know.
Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. Okay, friends. So happy Eclipse week, and we will see you very, very soon. Bye.